Welcome back everyone to Go Kart build video number 11, and in today's video I'm just going to kind of catch you guys up on some fabrication that I've been doing and also some updates and things that are going on with the Go Kart right now. Basically what I've been doing so far is just a ton of welding and working on the cage that the engine is going to sit on the rear section of the Go Kart. This has probably been not the hardest but probably the most tedious part of welding because you know, when you're welding a vertical piece to something flat, when you weld that, it's very easy for that piece to want to warp this way, that way, that way, that way with the weld. So in order for it to stay perfectly straight up, it takes a lot of precise, you know, measuring and placing of the magnets. And so it took me a few tries to get this correct and get it straight and level. And so it was kind of tedious, but I got it done, at least all the tack weld so far. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that now before I move on to the next part. Okay, so I'm going to do this handheld just because it's kind of annoying to move the tripod around, so I apologize if it's partially shaky, but here's what I got so far. And last night I really tried to put the tires on the wheels, and I didn't have much success with that. I looked up multiple YouTube videos and tutorials and tips on how to do it, and a lot of people say, you know, use dish soap to lube the tire bead and also the rim, and then you push on the tire at like a 45-degree angle when the rim is sitting up, and I just could not get it on. So what I'm going to do is take it to a local kart shop and have them do it, and hopefully they'll be able to do it with no problem. I mean, I bought the tires and the wheels from the same company at the same time, so I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure that they fit and they're the proper wheel for the tire and vice versa. So there's that to go. And the reason why I want to do that is because over here, why I have this set up, is I was trying to align and kind of see where the front wheel is going to sit in comparison to the back wheel. And right now, well, I already made this decision, but last night I was debating on whether or not to move the back wheel out farther and keep this where it's at, or, you know, modify the front wheel and, you know, keep the back wheel where it's at kind of right now. And what I decided was, this suspension arm in the front sticks way too far out for my liking. Yes, it's going to be a wide and low kart, and it's a street kart, so that's good because, you know, good handling, but I think that's a little too wide for my liking. So basically what I'm going to do is just grind this part off, and then take this piece off, and then cut right here and right here, and then weld this piece right to there. So it's going to shorten the suspension arms by about 1.5 inches on each side. So that's what my plan is, fabrication next. That's what I'm going to do next on fabrication. And then before I start doing that, I'll go ahead and show you guys the back part. And this is what I've been working on for most of the morning. And so here we have all the 4 vertical pieces attached with the 4 horizontal pieces that connect everything to make the rectangular prism shape. And like I said earlier, that these pieces were pretty hard to get straight because they'd want to warp that way and that way and that way and that way. So I really had to use these magnets really well and position them in such a way that it won't warp them. And I also had to kind of think, when I was welding it, I had to kind of weld in a cross pattern, similar to if you're tightening lug nuts on a car. So you want to like weld here, and then you weld on the opposite side, and then weld here and weld on the opposite side. And so that kind of took a few trial and error processes to try and get that right. And then I also forgot that I was using the level to make these straight and make these straight. But then I also forgot that the entire frame probably isn't straight because I just have it sitting on these 2 boxes here. And so I had to level the frame first and then go and make sure that the pieces that I was welding on were level. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the level and show you guys. Right now the frame isn't level left to right, but it is level front to back. So I'll just show you how accurate that is. So if you guys can see that, I know it's kind of blurry, but yeah, it's hard to see that. But the bubble and the level is sitting pretty much dead on. And so I'm pretty happy to see that. And I leveled the frame also, so I took the level, put it here, and the bubble is also in the center. So then that told me that that would also be level as well. So pretty cool to get that done. That's a big step in getting the cage done. And then the next step, what I'm going to do now is modify those front suspension arms, get those all squared away, and then go ahead and start preparing to mount the shocks onto the suspension arms and the frame. Alright, so what I was just doing, I finished doing it to the other one, but what I just did to this front suspension arm was I took the grinder, excuse me, and took the grinder and I basically cut this piece off. So this is like the very edge piece, and then you got the C bracket that connects to the spindle. So then I cut that off of here, and then we'll go ahead and take the suspension arm off the frame and then use the miter saw to cut the rest of this little excess 1.5 inch tubing off, and then it's going to go ahead and look like this. So it's going to be a lot shorter, and I'm going to weld it right to the top. I'm going to weld this piece, where'd it go? Weld this piece right to here. I obviously got to grind down the welds and make it nice even, and that'll make this a lot shorter. And I'm going to go ahead and add one more piece in here just for a little more strength and rigidity for this front suspension arm. And I also need something to be able to mount kind of like a vertical support piece to this shock design that I have. So I'm going to go ahead, take this off, and then go ahead and throw it up on the miter saw and cut it off, and then grind it down, and we re-weld this piece on. Alrighty, so I just got done cutting and grinding down these suspension arms. So like I said, my goal was to shorten them up a little bit. So here's the new suspension arm, and if you all can remember, this used to extend out this way another 1/2 inch and then have another cross piece. So now, and then I cut this, so basically I just drew a straight line with the Sharpie, and then put it on the miter saw and cut them both at once. And then I just, this came off with the grinder when I just ground the welds off. And then I just took the grinder and made this piece all nice and shiny and weldable again, and same thing here. And basically now what I'm going to do is just take these two and weld them right together like that. And then I think what I'm going to do after that is cut another, I think this is 2.5 inches. I'm going to cut another one and put it right about here, just so I can have something when I do my suspension arm. There's going to be a piece coming like this, and then there needs to be a vertical piece to support that one. And if that doesn't make any sense, you'll understand what I'm talking about in a short while when I actually get to doing that. Okay, so I just finished welding both suspension arms back together, and this is what I got. So, as you know, this is what I cut before, and then I just welded all these. It's like six welds on this side, 6 on the other side. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut. So I measured the distance here just to refresh myself, and this is 2.5 inches. I'm going to cut another 2.5 inch piece to weld right about there and put it right here, and that'll allow me an extra place to add a support, like a vertical support coming this way, when I have the angled piece for the shock to mount to going the other way. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2.5 pieces now, one for each suspension arm. Okay, so just to catch everyone up here on what's been going on, so I finished welding, cut that extra piece, welded that on, and also welded the suspension arm together, and did the same thing for this side. So there's now that extra piece closer to the tube now. And what I was working on recently was I cut some metal here for the shock tabs to mount to, because they're going to have to mount somewhere here, and did the same thing right here, and then welded those on. And that took a little while because I had to figure out the spacing, because I don't have any measurements from my computer, so had to kind of gauge, like, okay, well, from here right to here it needs to be a straight line. So that took quite a bit of time. And then what I was just recently working on was cutting some tubing here for the shocks to mount to. So this is going to go like this, and then at the same time the shock is going to mount right up to that 45-degree angle piece. And then I have one more piece that's going to go vertical from that I have to cut. But I think I'm going to call it quits for today. I've done a lot this weekend as well as today itself. I got a lot done. I still have quite a bit to go, but made a lot of progress this weekend. And really a lot of the stuff to come is just a lot of welding, and I'd rather take my time rather than try and blow through it. So I'm gonna call it quits here, and I got a lot of stuff to clean up before I go do homework for the rest of the day. So that is it for this weekend of the go-kart. Now, I didn't record as much fabrication as I kind of wanted to, but a lot of it has just been the same repetitive stuff over and over again. But the reason why I kept this video a little bit shorter than most of the other videos is because I'd rather catch you guys up on the interesting stuff, and that's going to come next video when I mount the shocks. And probably by then I'll have the tires mounted to the wheels, and so then I can actually put the tires on the wheels, or I can put the wheels with the tires on it on the cart and then roll it around. So I'm gonna save that all for next video, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, because there's a lot of awesome stuff to come. You know, the engine's gonna get mounted soon, the steering, I gotta design the whole steering column and everything, and it's gonna be really awesome, and it's gonna be really cool once this thing gets running. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good one. See you in the next video.